Welcome to
The most epic Holly Jolly
Christmas Showdown.
I'm Amanda Figueroa.
And I'm Adriana York, formerly Figueroa.
And we are just two sisters who love Christmas and competition. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
All right. So we have one movie under our belt, one movie down for 2024. And now we're looking at our second movie of our category, Streaming of a White Christmas. If you couldn't hear it in the title, these are streamed movies, so you can find them on a streaming platform. Whatever one it is, I don't know. And I was going to say of your choice, and I'm like, it's really not your choice. It's whatever it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. But before we do that, our weekly Christmas cheer.
Okay, so this week I had the pleasure of throwing a baby shower for like my lifelong childhood friend. And it was a lot of work for sure, but it was like fun work. You know, like it felt nice to be able to give that experience to her, and it's almost like, you know, like Christmas time when you put in so much effort and decorate the house and put up all the lights and everything, and it's like to give someone else an experience. And so that's kind of like what this baby shower was for me. Like I got to give her that experience and got to see her just have fun and be showered with love. And so it was a good time.
Yeah, you did play hostess very well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Still recovering a bit, honestly.
Yeah. It was exhausting. I would say my weekly Christmas cheer has to do with the weather. We've had like 75-degree weather, like 60 to 75-degree weather.
Yeah.
And then we had like a really cold day, like just randomly. It went down to like low of 30s and then like a high of like maybe 50.
Yeah.
Maybe. So it was church day. So I got to dress in like my cute, I dressed like super preppy all of a sudden. Like I had these corduroy pants and I had this sweater vest and I was wearing a turtleneck and I had like this pea coat kind of thing going on. I really enjoyed it because my winter apparel is, I have a very short window of wearing it. And I have a lot from when I went to school in New York, and I kept it because I liked them, but I can't wear them that often.
Yeah.
So
speaking of which, do you have my other sweater vest? That same one in the other color?
Yeah, I have both of them.
I was thinking about this the other day. I need to go through your closet and find stuff that I sent back with you.
Yeah. They're in my closet.
So I can wear them.
Yeah. Yeah. When we didn't live in the same state, you know, we didn't borrow each other's clothes often. And then when she was moving back to Texas, I was like, she kind of sent stuff with me, so I have her things.
Yeah.
So, yeah. They're currently in my closet, being well loved.
Yeah, that's at least good.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, what do I have?
Yeah. I have no idea. I honestly forget what is exactly yours.
Yeah, like what's mine and like what was I gonna get rid of that you decided you were gonna take in?
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Anywho, so if you are new to the podcast, the way that these episodes work is that we're going to go into a pretty detailed summary of the movie. So if you don't like a spoiler, take a pause here, go and watch the movie. Today we are looking at Candy Cane Lane on Prime Video. But if you don't mind a spoiler, then keep listening because we're going to tell you all about the movie. And then after we tell you about the movie, we are going to give you our scores on the movie. Basically just our opinion, how we really liked the movie.
Yeah.
So it's really fun too if you follow along and score as well. Our categories that we use to score the movies are plot, main characters, aesthetic, overall Christmas cheer, and supporting characters. And then at the end, we'll round it all off with our cringe factor because oftentimes in Christmas movies, there is a little bit of cringiness, so we have to acknowledge it. Yeah. And then we will go through the total score and see where this movie sits in the category.
All right. So without further ado, let's get into our next movie, Candy Cane Lane. So this 2023 Amazon original starring Eddie Murphy opens up on a California suburban family, the Carvers. The Carvers consist of Holly Carver, the youngest of the bunch and a huge Santa/Christmas enthusiast. Nick Carver, the only son whose love for music is misunderstood by the rest of the family. Joy Carver, the athlete of the family who is unable to admit to her parents that she wants to go to any other school besides USC, the family college, apparently. It also consists of Carol Carver, the realist yet supportive mother and wife to Chris Carver, who is our main protagonist. He loves to make handmade Christmas decorations and was recently fired from his job. So that's where our story begins. After Chris gets fired, a Christmas broadcast announces that Candy Cane Lane, the street that the Carvers live on, will be competing in a Christmas decorating competition that will have a reward of $100,000. Chris and Holly search for the perfect display for their yard when they come across a very interesting store, Kringle's, where a mysterious Pepper sells him a 12 Days of Christmas tree, which is just this gigantic tree shape that has the 12 Days of Christmas going up to the top. Chris sets it up and creates a show-stopping display. However, the next day, things get weird. Swans are swimming in the Carver's pool. Geese are laying eggs from the sky at Carol's job. Chris investigates with Holly and returns to the store where they discover ceramic figurines that have come to life. The reality is Pepper was Santa's elf, but she was too harsh on the naughty or nice list and was essentially let go from being Santa's little helper.
Well, no, she quit.
She quit?
Yeah. She got demoted to the reindeer department.
Okay, so got demoted, but that's shameful.
She was just a little sour.
Yeah. And she said, "Nuh-uh, I'm going to do it my own way." She then made it her mission to punish those who didn't make her naughty or nice list, hence the figurines. All of the figurines were once people who made a deal with Pepper by buying or getting one of her decorations and failed to complete her tasks before Christmas at 8 o'clock. That was the chime. 8 o'clock at night on Christmas Eve, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting time.
Yeah. That one was weird for me. I was like, I had to double check with that one.
Yeah.
The next victim on Pepper's list is our very own Chris Carver, who bought the 12 Days of Christmas tree. He is tasked to find the golden rings from the songs 12 Days of Christmas. You know, the 5 golden rings. The song literally comes to life, and Chris and his family have to fight lords a leaping, maids a milking, and so many more to find the golden rings. The Carvers come together in honesty and love when they realize the risk at stake. Chris becoming a ceramic figurine forever. So for a little context, he didn't tell them what was actually happening to him. And then after a while, they're like, well, like, why do we need to find these stupid rings? And he's like, I'm going to turn into those figurines if I don't. And so now they knew that there was a lot more at stake.
Yeah, the family thought that getting the rings was just going to ensure that they won the competition. And they were like, okay, it's not like that big a deal. Mm-hmm. But then he's like, no, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. At the last hour, the Carvers believed they succeeded in the task when Pepper reveals the wrinkle in the deal. There were more than 5 golden rings. Each time you sing the line, 5 golden rings counted in Pepper's deal. So, you know, it repeats. After you go past 5 golden rings, you repeat the other 4. And so that amounted to 40 golden rings. The Carvers scrambled to find the remaining 35 rings before the clock strikes 8 o'clock on Christmas Eve. With the help of Santa and Chris and Carol's wedding rings, the Carvers break the curse and free all of the figurines, including Chris, who was just about to be turned into a figurine himself. The Carvers realize the true meaning of Christmas, and essentially that is Candy Cane Lane.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Mm-hmm. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's like different.
It is. Yeah.
But more on that in our next categories. So, our first category.
Plot.
What'd you give it?
I gave it 4.5 candy canes out of 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
I gave it 4 candy canes out of 5.
Okay. We're in the same vicinity.
Yeah.
I thought the plot was very unique. I would have to think hard to find something similar to that.
Yeah.
That is Christmas related.
Yeah.
You know, you see that in like maybe Halloween movies. Like I feel like Halloween movies are a good one, where it's like they make a deal and they have to stop it before time runs out.
Yeah.
But not so much Christmas, and so that was very unique for me.
Yeah. I can agree. It was kind of the typical, like a little bit of a typical plot where it was like finding the true meaning of Christmas.
Yeah.
But also there's not many true meaning of Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Like it's more so somebody's trying to find their holiday cheer, but
yeah,
they never lost their holiday cheer.
No.
It was just figuring out like the actual true meaning.
Yeah.
And like coming together as a family.
Yeah.
So I thought it was very well done as well.
I thought so too. And there was a lot of questions that I had, you know, as the movie was going on, but like the movie actually answered them, you know, and I thought that was very interesting. Like, who's Pepper? Why is she doing this? You know, they had an explanation for all of it. Or I should say for most of it. I think that whereas other movies, they could forget those little details, I feel like they answered a lot of questions within the plot that made sense. It didn't feel like it was like thrown in there just to explain something. It really felt like it was intentional. And so I thought that was a good writing on the writer's part.
Yeah, they were very much so detail oriented. But I did have questions as well. But I felt like some of them weren't answered. Like, why didn't he question a store underneath the highway?
That is true. That one was weird.
I originally thought he was going to go in and the movie was going to take a very different turn and the store was actually going to be like a money laundering type place.
Oh. How interesting. Yeah, that was weird. I felt like it added to the mystery of everything though, because like Pepper was like, it's like what you call a pop-up. That was definitely a full-on structure underneath the highway. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Amanda, you still didn't watch the 1 week later part.
I did not. No.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah. By the way, stick with the movie through the credits, which I did not, but she did. There's a 1 week later part. So tell me.
So, Peppermint actually gets turned into a figurine by Santa.
No.
And she's like, what? I thought you were gonna give me a second chance. He's like, I am. And you can start here and maybe work your way up to the reindeer department. And then Chris Carver, like the shop is still there.
Oh.
And it's like there's a sign on the front door. It says new ownership, Chris Carver.
How interesting.
Yeah, so I wonder if it's setting us up for a second one.
Oh, that would be a good one. Yeah.
I didn't watch that part the first few times that I watched it. And then another question that I had was, what happens like when the tree doesn't light up every night? Like there was multiple days of the ornaments not being on the tree.
Oh, like to the competition?
Yeah.
Whatever? Yeah.
And I didn't fully understand the competition. Like it was just like they had a initial display.
Yeah.
The first time, and then at the end they choose the winner.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I think that was like some things that I had questions on. Like I felt like the broadcast wasn't real, even though it very much was. Like, but it still gave me this, I was like, who are these people? Like, this doesn't seem real.
Yeah.
Prism Cable, like I thought that was a fake channel or something like that. I was like, I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
So that's where I docked it with some of those like weird moments. Again, they did a better job of answering questions. Like that's one thing that I will still give them than other movies. But yeah, there's still a lot of things where you're like
what happened here?
You're like, why? Yeah, like there was I also was like, is the school band like playing on the street? You know,
Yeah.
I couldn't figure that out either. So there's some things that was like, okay, weird.
Yeah. But I will say that they caught me so off guard multiple times. Like, it wasn't a predictable movie.
Yeah, I will say they had twists and turns.
Yeah.
Like the 40 golden rings, that did get me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, they got Peppermint by knowing that she was holding the last ring, and she goes, "Is that really the last ring?" And then you realize, oh no, it repeats.
But I don't know who would have thought that. That it was 40 rings. Also, does the math.
The math does
5,
math.
5, 4, 5, 3, 5, 2, 5, 1.
Yeah, no, you're not. Counting.
5.
5. Then
4.
you have the 6 geese a lane.
It goes up? I thought it went down.
No, but like, when does the 5 golden rings repeat? It repeats after the initial 5 golden rings. So you have 5 golden rings. Then you go 6 geese a lane, 5 golden rings. Then 7, 6, 5 again, 8, and then you say the 5 golden rings again with 8 lords leaping or something like that. And then 9 ladies dancing. And then, yeah, it turns out to be 8. So 5 times 8 is 40.
Does the song go up?
It starts on the first day of Christmas, then on the second day, and then it repeats down.
Oh. I always thought it went down.
It repeats down, so like when you're on the fifth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves.
Okay, that's where I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah. So,
I've really been working on that math since the first time I watched that movie.
I know, and I was like, they got it. I was like, that's so interesting. I did check the math to make sure it was right, but I was like, that's right. You know, you go 5 days. So it's from the 5th day to the 12th day is when you hear the 5 golden rings in the song.
Okay.
And so,
Okay, because I was like, that's not right.
yeah, it is. But it is confusing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, okay, one thing that I didn't like was Santa. He couldn't, like, help them.
Yeah, I kind of, that was another thing that I docked. I liked the appearance of Santa, but I almost felt like it was too last minute and he was kind of thrown in there.
And it was pointless.
Yeah, it didn't help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
Yeah.
Like, why was he there? Except for there to be a black Santa, which I'm here for, but
I am here for.
I was really mad when he's like, well, you signed the contract, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay. Santa?
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't you have been the one who gave this elf her powers?
Yeah.
Either way. Okay, next category. Main characters. Who's your main characters?
I said the Carvers.
Me too.
Yeah, just the entire family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really, I think, this season going off of that mindset of, like, if they have a scene where it's just, like, they are the, like, only person or main character in the scene, then they're a main character.
Okay.
That's how I'm thinking about it.
Okay. That I might start thinking about it that way.
Because they're not going to put a supporting character, or else if they do, then that's just, like, a subplot that we don't need.
That's true. All right.
So I might have to rework that. Don't hold me to it, okay?
I gave him 4 candy canes out of 5.
Okay. I gave him 3.5 candy canes out of 5.
I really liked the dynamic between the family. Like, I felt like they were a legit family. And I just think individually, Chris and Carol, to me, were so good. And those are 2 big actors. I don't remember her name, so I'm so sorry. But then there's Eddie Murphy on his end. And they're just so good on their own. And I loved their characters. I think Carol was funny yet supportive. I didn't find her annoying. She wasn't putting him down. I think she was actively, like, supporting him through his craziness. And she herself was a little crazy too, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then obviously Chris was, he had his moments, but I honestly think that he was a very good main character. I don't think that he was anything too unreasonable. So individually, those two were so good in my mind.
Yeah. I will agree. I liked the family as a unit.
Yeah.
And I thought together they all worked really well. It was when you separated them that I was kind of like, I didn't necessarily love them.
I will say that the kids, in comparison to the parents, were very blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor little Holly, whenever she went to the mailbox with Pip.
Yeah.
Like, the way that she was talking, I was like, this is weird.
I totally forgot about that scene the first time that I watched it. Like, I was like, what? Where did this come from?
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, it was not memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. She was so, like, monotone. It was kind of weird. But I like the dynamic between all of them. And as long as there was, like, multiple of them in a scene, it was enjoyable. But it was, like, on their own, they were so annoying in my mind. Oh. Like, even Chris.
Interesting.
He was just, like... He was just a little much sometimes. The parents with Joy about the college were so crazy. The mom, she was like, oh my gosh, like, Nick, there's your math teacher. Let's say hi to him. And the math teacher's like, your son's failing. And she's like, no, he's not. Like, I would know if he's failing. And it's just like, okay, why are you so obsessive? Like, okay, there we go. That's what it is. I like them as a family unit. And I like how loyal they are to each other, but they are absolutely, or at least the mom was very loyal to a fault.
Yeah.
She was like, my family can do no wrong. We are the Carvers. And I'm like, you were realistic up until that point.
That is true. Yeah.
And then, Chris was just like, he was so obsessive about the competition. He literally didn't take his child to school. That's how obsessive he was about the competition.
That is true. I think I was thinking about that while I was driving home today. I was like, Holly just didn't go to school those last couple of days.
She said 3 of my classes, but she probably had like 7 classes. She said 3 of them were watching movies. So the others I don't care about. Like, what if she had a test or something, or some sort of final? I mean, she was definitely in elementary school. Yeah. But like, what if she had an assignment that was counting towards her grades and like she just didn't go to school?
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay.
And then the kids too. Like, they were all so annoying.
Yeah.
Because I think they all just had, like, this weird obsessive thing. Except for Holly. She was just a little kid.
Yeah.
But the rest of them had, like, this weird obsessive thing. But then, like, when they came together, it worked well. It's almost like, though, their weird obsessive things were little subplots that were almost unnecessary. Like, there was just a little too much obsession to make those details about them unnecessary.
That's fair.
Like, we could have just had little snippets.
Yeah.
And then that would have been better, and they would have been less annoying. Like, everyone had something. Nick, he was obsessed with band, and his parents didn't want him to be in music. But he was so obsessed with it. And that was, like, his whole entire persona.
Yeah.
Joy, she was so obsessed with track and going to, like, not USC.
Yeah.
Any school that was not USC.
Yeah.
And that was her whole entire thing.
Yeah.
Chris, winning the competition. Carol, her job.
Yeah.
And being a boss lady.
You know, this is more of a plot thing, but you know, at the end when Joy, like, at the end where she, you know, they're getting the rings and she gets this one and she's like, watch out. Why was the University of North Carolina track and field recruiter at a Christmas event in Southern California?
That was so weird. But my only thing is that I think it's probably because of the track meet. There was multiple scouts there. There was even another one. I don't remember what school, but like as they're talking to the was it the USC or the Notre Dame?
The Notre Dame.
the Notre Dame scout, there was another guy
Yeah.
behind them that wasn't like sitting with those 3 scouts.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that I can think. And she's like, oh, I'm in the area. I might as well do something fun. But also, it was Christmas Eve. Is that the time for track season?
No. Not outdoor track.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a
spring sport.
It's a spring sport.
I just thought about that. I was like, why are they there on Christmas Eve? Like, the only sport who is playing, at least where we are, is basketball. So that's interesting. Plot twist. Plot gap. They didn't think about it. But, I mean, overall, I enjoyed them until you, like, looked at them too much.
That's fair. All right, so aesthetic. What'd you give it?
I gave it 3.5 candy canes out of 5.
Wow, I did not feel the same way. I gave it 5 candy canes out of 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
I loved
also,
it.
you score aesthetic differently than I do.
I do, yeah. So
Yeah.
I incorporate the decorations in there where you put it in overall Christmas cheer.
Yeah.
So aesthetic wise, I felt like it hit this like cool stride where it was like realistic yet magical all at the same time. And I enjoyed it so much because the magical parts were so amazing to me. Like the store that Pepper had was amazing. The
Yeah.
figurines, amazing. You know,
Yeah.
the handmade Christmas decorations, loved.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it all. The 12 Days of Christmas tree. I mean, everything there. It was just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then I actually did like a lot of the outfits for me. They worked for me. Especially I loved Carol's green pantsuit.
Yeah.
I personally, I don't think I could pull off that color, but I definitely think that it was cool. It was different. And I feel like very much California in a way. There was just a lot of it that I really did like. And I know what you're going to say, probably costuming was lacking. I just felt like it fit them. I felt like it fit the family and it fit their roles
Yeah.
very well.
Yeah. You are right. I thought that the costuming was kind of lackluster, but I also liked it because it felt realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes when the costuming is too put together, then you're like, okay, we're clearly in a movie.
Yeah.
But, like, since it was so realistic, it kind of invited you in.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved the decorations on the houses in the street. Yeah. Like, it was just great. Like, I want to live on that street.
Yeah.
But everything else, like, the scenery felt like I could have just walked down the street and, like, I would have experienced this movie, you know? So yeah. I did enjoy that. But then also because of it, it wasn't, like, super spectacular. Like, it didn't make me want to walk down the street to be in the movie. And this is just going off of everything that's not Christmas decorations.
Okay.
It was all just kind of, like, realistic, but not inviting and enticing.
Mm-hmm.
And I hated. I loved Carol's green pantsuit.
Yeah.
For sure. And I wish I would have noted her other outfits more. But I hated her makeup with the blue jumpsuit. She had blue eyeshadow. That was just like a shade or two lighter than the jumpsuit. And the jumpsuit was all blue, and that really bothered me. But I did love her green pantsuit so much. Honestly, nobody else had outfits that were, like, notable. Really. That stuck out in my mind. But there is that one scene when they're, like, going out for the Christmas Eve event thing, the extravaganza bonanza. And they're all, like, nobody matches.
Nobody matches. Which I loved it. I honestly did.
I loved it so much because I was like, what?
I think it's realistic, especially like if your kids are gonna be doing different things. Like two of them were in different parts of like this parade or something. I don't know. I still don't understand.
Holly was like a little angel.
Yeah. Also that choir tree that they had was so tall. That child was all the way up there.
I know. I was like, did they sign a waiver?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how? That was scary.
I know. I was like, she's just like chilling up there, like, I'm fine.
And then just like with binoculars, like, did her teacher or choir director not say anything? It's like, Holly, where did you get those?
Also, how did her parents hear her from all the way up there saying,
do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? Excuse me, ma'am. What? You're about like 40 stories up in the air.
I'll be like, I don't know. I can't hear the signal. Like,
I know. They're like, oh, yeah.
They're like,
do you see what I see? She's here. Like, what? Okay, anyway. So Holly was in an angel costume.
Mm-hmm.
Nick was in his band uniform. Joy
was in like this.
Was she in her track stuff?
No, she was just in like, she was like in a sweat, like a
tracksuit?
A tracksuit, but like just for like aesthetic purposes, and a crop top.
Yeah. Okay, she was still in a tracksuit leaning into her track obsession.
Yeah.
And then I think I did like Carol's outfit, but I don't exactly remember what it was. It was like, I think it was a turtleneck of some sort.
It was a turtleneck. I don't remember the color of the turtleneck, but it was like that maroon, like almost like tracksuit as well.
Yeah. And then what was Chris wearing? It was like a sweater or something.
I feel like I honestly don't remember what Chris was wearing until he turned into a figurine.
Yeah, that's all I can remember. But
yeah,
they did not match whatsoever.
No.
And it caught me so off guard.
I'm pretty sure he was wearing like black or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's kind of coming to me.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly, but yeah.
Yeah.
The color scheme was way off. Like, I used to work in a retail store, and so I view like outfits together as like, oh, they have to have like a matching color scheme, or like they have to be going to the same event, and they were not.
Yeah.
At all. And I was like, ew.
Yeah.
But it was great too.
It was, again, very realistic.
Yeah. Next up,
overall Christmas cheer.
What'd you give it?
I gave it 4 candy canes out of 5.
I gave it 3 candy canes out of 5.
Wow. I really felt that what I liked a lot is that I felt like Chris was learning his lesson throughout the movie, not like at the very end, if that makes sense. Like, he was starting to realize that he needed to come together with his family and value them more throughout the movie, And then, you have they had like a little fallout. It wasn't really that big of a fallout. It was literally like 30 seconds worth of a fallout because they were mad at him. And then he tells them about the figurine and that he's going to turn into one. And they're like, oh my gosh, no, we got to save Dad.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like at that point or at the very end he realized his lesson. It's like, I think he knew it throughout. And it was almost like him working out that realization. If it makes sense. Like, do I worry them? Do I not? I need help, So because he brings them in.
Yeah.
He goes, I need help with this. But then he doesn't tell them the truth. And then he realizes, I need to tell them the truth. Like, I'm expecting honesty from my kids and I'm not telling them the truth. So I felt like it was building. But I think he was also learning throughout the entire time, which I really appreciated it because it gave you a more upbeat movie. I feel like, and it really emphasized family a lot. And I was gonna put this in an aesthetic. I just remembered it, but I'll put it in overall Christmas cheer. Pepper, as much as she was villainous, she was so Christmassy to the point that this girl was eating an ornament. She pulled that sucker out. She goes, eats that ornament.
Oh, I did not notice that.
At the very end, like when they're like, no, he can't go away. Da, da. She's like, it's in the contract. She whips out an ornament and just bites into it. And I was like, She's just chewing on an ornament.
That is so funny.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I really liked the overall, like, what carried my score in overall Christmas cheer was the decorations and the look of it all.
Mm-hmm.
You already mentioned it, but Pepper's shop, oh my word.
That was beautiful.
The exterior was so beautiful. The interior was so nice.
So magical.
That tree, like, even though it was kind of like a curse, like the stop motion movement of the ornaments, and then it was literally like glittering. Like there was magical glitter dust coming off of it. It was so pretty. And yeah, his handmade decorations in the front yard. I'm like, that's what I want my decorations to be like. Like it was neutral, but very much so still so Christmassy.
Yeah.
I loved it. And then yeah, Santa, when he came, I was like, he's a cool Santa.
Yeah.
And Peppermint was definitely very peppery, but Christmassy. Goodness.
Peppery. She was peppery.
She was peppery. But other than that, like, I really didn't get the warm, fuzzy feelings of Christmas. Like, I understand that he was learning to, like, value his family more and, like, be more understanding of his kids.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't necessarily give me Christmas. Like, so much so that I was almost pushing for this movie to be in Krampus is Coming to Town.
She was, which I said no. It just, to me, it didn't feel quite the vibe that I thought of when it came to Krampus is Coming to Town.
That's fair, but it was, like, to me, nearly, like,
if you're
evil enough.
Yeah.
Like, it was, like, a funny evil.
It was like she wanted it to be like a Christmas comedy horror kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can see it, but it teetered just enough.
Yeah.
So, but I still think that there is value to that. Why would we have a Krampus is Coming to Town category if we weren't going to still, look at overall Christmas cheer, Yeah. It's the other half of the lesson, I feel like, with those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so most of my score came from decorations. I wouldn't necessarily say it came from, like, the feeling of Christmas.
And our final category, supporting characters. Who are your supporting characters?
Mine was pretty much everyone else. Like, mostly, obviously, Peppermint.
Yeah.
She was a big portion of the score, the figurines. And then I did consider the show hosts.
I did not. I said Pepper, Santa, and the figurines.
I don't even think Santa was in there enough to be counted.
I know, but also it's just like I felt like he was too big in his moment to not consider him. You know what I mean?
I think the show hosts were bigger.
Yeah. I think they were comedic relief.
For sure.
Yeah.
I loved them. That's why I put them in there.
They were so funny. Her face, her smile, like there's one point where she's just like and I'm like, you saw both rows of teeth. Like I was like, she's kind of terrifying.
I know, I love it.
Yeah.
I really do.
And then the guy, he would make like comments like, you sound like my dad.
The guy was the best part.
He really was.
So funny.
He goes, this is all I dreamed of doing when I graduated first in my class of Columbia in journalism. And she's like, really? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah. You know what's funny is they had such a packed cast.
They did, yeah.
Like, there wasn't a nobody in the cast, it felt like.
Yeah.
Except for the kids.
Except for the kids, yeah.
Everyone else was, like, a big name.
Or they made their way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily call the guy Josh, who was the reporter dude. I wouldn't say he was, like, a bigger name, but he also wasn't, like, this really big name.
Well, he's just, he's not, like, you would know him. Like, if you saw him, you'd know him from other movies.
Yeah.
And that was every other character, essentially.
Yeah.
in the movie, but he wasn't like some rando off the street where you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I've never seen this guy before. Like every other person, you'd know them from somewhere.
Also, you know what was so shocking? Angela Johnson was in that movie.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like she disappeared off the face of the earth for like so long, and
Yeah.
then she just showed back up, and I was like
Well,
really
she just had
excited by
a
that.
baby.
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
I follow her on TikTok.
I should. Like, I loved Angela Johnson,
Yeah.
and I wish she had more comedy specials.
Yeah, I don't know how much comedy she's doing anymore.
Yeah.
But she's on TikTok. She talks about motherhood a lot.
Okay. Gotta go check it out.
Anywho, so those are our supporting characters.
I will say they were also entertaining. So I gave them 4 candy canes out of 5.
Yeah. I gave them, I can't remember, but let me look. I gave them 4.5 candy canes out of 5.
Oh.
I really loved them.
I feel like where the kids lacked, the supporting characters were there.
For sure. I think I laughed more with the supporting characters, which sounds really bad, but it is what it is.
I felt like Pepper was a true villain too.
Mhm.
Like, she was kind of goofy, which I think you would expect from, you know, an elf that used to be Santa's elf. You know, they're kind of like goofy, but she was just like, she's dark as well. And so I feel like her character kind of crossed the line between like being like this antagonist, you know, like, oh, you have a protagonist, the person that the movie's about that's going to win, and this person that's against them, and then but they're like not that smart or something like that, or you know, they're just kind of bleh. No, she was a true villain.
Yeah. She was like, all these ornaments will wreak havoc on your lives. The entire family.
Yeah.
Not just Chris. She said all of you are going to suffer.
Yeah, those that didn't even know what was going on, like poor Carol got eggs shot at her from this guy.
Like, what? She literally gave her leaping lords a pep talk
Yeah.
of being awful.
I mean, yeah, no, straight up one of the Lords of Leaping, like, just basically took out the daughter.
Yeah.
She's running and all of a sudden hits this Lord of Leaping.
Yeah. Poor Nick had to swim in like 3 feet deep of milk.
Yeah. It was a take no prisoner situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she was a true villain. And that's what I did appreciate, though, which is why we're probably like teetering on Krampus is coming to town.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes these movies can be like, oh, it's cute, but like, you know, it's a dumb villain. Like, they're not smart. No,
Yeah.
she was smart. She was outmaneuvering everyone.
Yeah. When she got him to sign the contract, she was like, don't worry about the fine print. Like, nobody cares about that.
Mm-hmm.
He should have read the fine print.
You should have read the fine print.
Yeah, I really liked Pepper.
Yeah.
She was good. She did her job. But honestly, though, like, really, I thought this movie was going to take a completely different turn every single second
Yeah.
when I first watched it. Because, like, even in her shop, whenever he did sign the contract and her shop, like, goes crazy, I was expecting it to be, like, almost like a Krampus situation. Like, turn horror. But it didn't.
Yeah. And I know that, like, we've talked about Santa kind of, like, being not useful. Like, you know, he, like, seemed too powerless. But for the most part, I felt like the supporting characters, there was, like, no completely useless supporting character. Like, they provided for the movie in some way. Like, the host, comedic relief. Josh, comedic relief as well. And also, like, in some ways, he's, like, pointing things out. Yeah, those 3, comedic relief. And then he was just, like, losing it. Pepper, obviously the villain. The figurines were part of the solution. They were the ones that told Chris about everything, you know, and even Santa in his limited use, I mean, he did give them the idea of using their wedding rings.
Yeah. Just furthering the value of family.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I can agree. I loved them all. The figurines, too, were so good.
Yeah.
Pentatonics in there.
They were hilarious.
They were so perfect.
They really were. And they didn't have to do anything except for just sing,
Yeah.
which is what they do.
Yeah.
But it was so well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone was so funny.
Yeah.
Like, everyone in there, except for the kids. But it's okay. They're young. They're still making their way.
growing.
Yeah. But every other adult character in that movie was so funny.
Yeah.
So funny. I do love that movie. It's a good one.
It is a good one. I enjoyed it a lot. All right.
Bringing us to our totals.
So I gave Candy Cane Lane a total of 21 and a half candy canes out of 25.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a high one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really was. I gave Candy Cane Lane a total of 18 and a half candy canes out of 25.
Which gives us an overall total of 20 candy canes out of 25. But we have the cringe factor. Dun 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 dun.
Dun dun dun.
All right.
What was your cringe?
I gave this movie a cringe of 1 icicle out of 5.
I was teetering between half and 1, and I stuck with half an icicle out of 5.
Yeah. I felt like there were some things that, like, we were talking about some more, and I actually ended up going up on cringe because I was like, yeah, I mean, thinking about it, you're like, it just wasn't, it was just a little weird, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Overall, I didn't, like, feel the cringe much. But, like, when you look for it, you're like, okay, it's kind of cringy. Like, when they were trying to be funny. The movie was naturally funny, but there were moments where they were trying. Like, Pepper, when she was giving her pep talk.
Yeah.
She was like, I looked up all of these greats, and they're supposed to be, like, big-name sports people.
Yeah.
And they, like, she was just doing a play on their names. Like, Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
And the trio of
LeBron
and James. And it's like, what? Like,
yeah,
that wasn't funny. And I was like, that's so weird.
Yeah.
So there were just some moments like that.
I would agree. Yeah. And then, yeah, there was just like those moments, and I felt like 1 icicle was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that gives us an average of 0.75 icicles out of 5, which gives us a final total of 19.25 candy canes out of 25. Wow. Wowzers. And if you're keeping up with us, that means Candy Cane Lane pulls ahead of the Christmas Chronicles by just over a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And then we have some other still really good ones coming up. So it's going to be a tight category.
Yeah. I am very excited, but also very nervous for this category. Because you've loved every movie that we put on this list.
I love them all.
Yeah.
I don't want to see any of them go.
I know.
But we're going to have to.
That's the name of the game.
I didn't realize how heartbreaking it was going to be having this category go first.
Starting so early.
I know. I could cry.
And just honorary mentions at the end.
I know, honestly.
But tune in next week. We are going to be covering another Black Santa film. It's fairly new. I think just came out this past year. Dashing Through the Snow, featuring Ludacris. Yeah, interesting. And so if you want to watch that and get ahead, it is on Disney Plus. So that's where you can go and watch it. But
I know. You're going to have so much fun with it.
yes. Please keep up with our social media. We're starting to pick that back up. So follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Holly Jolly Christmas Pod for updates and Christmas fun videos and just like fun tips and tricks that we have throughout our days and weeks. You know, maybe I'll post like this is how I make my bread video, kind of that stuff that we mentioned on this podcast.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Adriana.
Have a holly jolly day. Bye.
Bye.